will smell you. Not literally, but look at that. Here we are live and in effect. It's
Good
Wednesday,
morning.
November 12th. It's actually my anniversary with my wife, but we're not going to talk
My
about that
wife.
today.
Yes,
It's
congrats.
it's High Rise Day, and we're here with Mark Dietz Klodzinski, myself, Jason Gugulik, and our pal Fletcher Denning,
Yeah.
S&K Building Services, Nashville, Tennessee. Fletcher, happy Wednesday. Happy Jason and Marissa anniversary day. What's shaking, brother?
Man, just another day, another day. Wonder why this fucking chair won't go up higher. Whatever.
Well,
Another day.
you look
It
like a
happens.
million bucks, dude. Do you feel like a million bucks?
I feel like I need a vacation, man. I've got all of my vacation time and all of my sick days from this year. I still have every one of them. We've
Oh
been so
wow.
busy trying to turn this branch around to try and get the time to step away hasn't really been ideal. You know what I mean? Haven't really been able to find an ideal time to do it.
Yeah. Um, so you've seen the show a couple times. You know, we have a bunch of friends that pop in and say what's up and good morning. And today's no different. You know, we're gonna have some people joining us. Um, but I wanted to give them a little bit of info about you. Um, so right now you run Nashville's division of S&K Building Services. Where did you get your start? I mean, a lot of people have seen you on YouTube, I mean on TikTok, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, man. About 7 years ago, man, I became a single dad. And it was one of those things where I was bartending and it was either continue bartending and working that kind of schedule with my son or find something legit. My best friend had been doing this for almost a decade and told me I'd be good at it. So he brought me in and we ran that company for 6 years or so. Then when I broke my femur, I kind of went down for the count, man. And as majority of you high rise guys knows, man, this is my axe to grind with our industry, dude. When I went down, I was part of an elite crew, one of the best in Nashville, dropping every building, knocking them out faster than anyone else. When I went down and broke my femur and had to have surgery, well, like you guys all know who work high rise. We ain't got insurance. We ain't got benefits. We don't got paid holidays. We're not on salary. I was screwed, man. And it really made you feel like I really was just a cog in the wheel. And when my gear got jammed up, I was just put on the shelf and forgot about and replaced with another gear. And in that time, man, my content saved my ass, dude. I've been making it for over 5 years without monetizing it. And I monetized it and started making more money than I was making window cleaning, off of
Nice.
old content at that. You know what I mean? I was having to re-put up all old content. Um, Long story short, that gave me some time to think and breathe while I healed. And in that time, Michael Draper actually happened to reach out to me. It's a funny circumstance of how it happened. His son had actually commented on one of my videos I was reposting to get monetized. I was slamming to get them all monetized. And
Mhm.
he
Yeah.
commented about a safety violation. And I had messaged Michael about it and was like, hey man, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong there. Is this your son saying that? And Michael was like, yeah, I told him not to do things public like that. I'm sorry about that. And I was just like, no, man. I said, if I'm doing something wrong, I want to
Right.
know.
I need to
You know?
know.
I was like, I'm under the impression. I said, and I've been told my whole career I ain't doing anything wrong. And a little bit goes by and he's like, man, I got an idea. And he flew me out to Denver, and or maybe Orlando first. I think it was Orlando first um, to do a training class with him. And we hit it off so well, man. He got me kitted out and taught me everything. And then I started coming and helping him train some of those because it really made a big difference to me, man. Because if you go back and look at some of my old content, use the alcove, for example, that roof, you're pulling up pavers on the roof and connecting your ropes and sliding them under a little ledge that small. And then you're setting up a ladder and climbing over this glass to get onto a ledge this small and reconnect on like a 40-story building. And for me, it wasn't the fact if I could slip right here and fall, you know what I mean, that scared me. It was the fact that if I slipped right here and fell, I don't know how to get myself out of this situation. And there's multiple times I'd been on buildings where you get caught in wind or get caught in something real bad, freaked out. And it would always flash through my head, if this happens and I do fall out of my chair and I'm dangling here, I've got to wait for a rescue or I've got to wait for someone else. Like to have the knowledge to know how to get out of those situations and do better. It just makes you have the more confidence to do better. But that touches back on just my same thing where it's just like a lot of these companies are not taking care of their guys with insurance benefits, pay, any of that, or
Yeah.
training. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm I'm getting a lot of pushback throughout our industry because I want to change it for the guys on the ground. I mean, let's be real. How many guys do we know that make over 100,000 a year that never go over 2 to 3 stories, just cleaning windows on the ground and run their own thing, chill
Yeah.
lives? How many guys do I know that aren't making more than $20 an hour, jumping off 40-story buildings with no insurance, no benefits, no nothing?
Yeah.
And it's not the guys. The guys would like to be trained better. The guys would like to do better. The guys would like to be told, I don't need to do 8 drops on this, 35-story building today that pay 50 a drop to make $400 and skim my ass off and cut corners. When if the companies and industry as a whole would come up and enforce safety standards, enforce these regulations, you know, you go to these property management meetings, and I've talked to plenty of property managers. They get 3 bids for a lot of these towers. Say you got a 40-story building that should be $40,000 to clean it all day long. You're gonna have someone come in there for 22,000, someone come in
Yeah.
for 25,000, and then someone like us come in for probably around 38. And they're gonna half the time go with the 25s. Like, oh, that's in the middle. This guy's really high. And they see what they're getting. Not only are the guys doing shit work because they're either getting paid a low hourly wage so they don't care, or they're
Yeah.
getting paid a low drop rate and they're having to smash as many as they can out to try and make good money. When in reality, if you would charge accordingly, your guys wouldn't have to do as many drops. They could do things safer. They could do better quality of work. They could make sure there isn't rundowns. They could make sure if they're all hanging in the wind, they stay together and don't stagger out because the faster ones are trying to get more drops. And then now they're trashing all these windows. They would work as a unit. You
Bring in water and whatever.
Yeah, man. And a lot of these property managers that I talk to, they would rather pay more money for better services. It's just we got a lot of people out there that everyone says that window cleaners are our own worst enemy. We undercut
Yeah.
each other day after day after day, instead of just having the market rise. And it's
Like
ridiculous.
like Florida.
Yeah, Florida, exactly.
Hey, let me ask you something. You mentioned about, you broke your femur, you were down for a while. We talk a lot about mental health on this show. How did that affect you? You mentioned you were kind of down, you're figuring out what the hell you were going to do. You started, posting a bunch of content. How did that affect you? Like
Honestly, man,
I caught you at the end of that. Like I met you in
you
August.
caught me at the end. Like it happened in July.
Yeah, I
Um,
caught you in August, at the end of August of 24, and you're like, I'm slowly
that's when I was
recovering.
hobbling. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, I'm slowly recovering. I'm getting there. Like, I'll be back soon. And
And
that's
that's,
that's
yeah,
when you're putting your content out. Like, how did you get through that? I'm guessing it was a little bit of a dark period, right? Like, this sucks. What am I gonna do? How am
honestly,
I gonna take
man,
care of myself?
when I first got hurt, I was like, fuck. I didn't have too much in savings. I had a couple
Yeah,
grand, you know what I mean? And I got hurt and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. And I monetized my content. And so that was the biggest weight off my shoulders in the world, knowing financially I was good.
yeah,
And I'm gonna be honest with you, this is what got me the only time I got sad and depressed was when I was about at month 4 or 5, and I'd been monetizing my content and pushing it out. And I had done one class with Draper at this point, and I was wanting to go back and work for my old company. That was my whole plan, I mean,
yeah,
was to go back work for my own company. Uh, and they told me that if I was doing the safety stuff and if I was going to continue making content, they didn't want me back. Uh,
yeah,
Straight up. And that was the only thing that got me down because it's like I got hurt, I got put on a shelf and forgot about, did what I had to do to survive and get through it and trying to come back. And now you're like, we don't want you anymore. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
you're gonna do that. And like for me, it was just like I had to just think about my future and the other options. And then we'll touch back on Michael. I talked to
Yeah,
Michael
no, that's
about
like
it.
that's a straight kick in the dick, and that's
Yeah.
like, hey man, it's exactly what you said.
Ugh.
You're one of the best gears, one of the best cogs in the system, but we're gonna replace you with something a little different, and like you used the term, put you on the shelf. Um, how did you go from like, how do I put this? Okay, you started monetizing content, then you started getting kind of connected with Draper. You had a little bit of in between time, I'm guessing, right? How did you fill your time in between getting connected with Michael and then also,
Honestly, y'all know I'm a single dad.
yeah,
Dude, I just enjoyed that time with my son.
yeah,
I knew financially I was stable. I knew I was recovering, and realistically, I was making more money just sitting at home, re-releasing my old content over several years that I'd never monetized. I
yeah,
was making more money off that than had I been going to work every day cleaning windows. So for me, I was making more money, and all I was having to do was be a dad. You know what I mean? And recover. And I loved it, man. Like I loved taking my son to school every day again, picking him up every day because he goes to the special school, so there's no transportation or anything.
yeah,
Um, so I loved being able to do all that. And it was shortly after I came back to work and took the position for S&K, I had to start being downtown super early. Can't take him into school anymore, not able to pick him up as much anymore. So it was like for me, I really got to look at it as time with my son. You know what I mean? I'm getting this unbothered time. In the afternoons, I'm there to pick him up from school, and I'm not exhausted. I'm not wore out from rappelling all day. I've already, got something planned. It was just, I really tried to see the positive in it, and I stayed real positive until I found out I wasn't going back to my old company. But
yeah.
that was a gut punch, man. That was. But I mean feel like it all worked out the way it was supposed to.
Dude, they say money can't buy time, and you actually lived it, right? So
Hmm.
you can have all the money that you want, but you can't buy that time back with your kid.
No,
I've been very fortunate enough to learn that. You kind of know a little bit of my story too. Like I was an alcoholic for a long time. I wasn't necessarily I was around, but I wasn't present. You know what I mean?
been there, man.
And then, after I stopped drinking, I was able to take my son to school, to take my daughter to school, and I get those luxuries, and it is something that I don't take for granted. And it is because of this industry that I'm
Hmm.
able and capable of doing that. So kudos to you, and I'm glad that you kind of turned like what could have been a dark period
Hmm.
into something that was absolutely beautiful. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it was almost like I don't know if you're religious, but it was almost like my own crucible, man.
yeah,
Really, it really was. It was one of those things where it's just like they always say God will give you some of your strongest trials right before you're about to grow again. You know what
yeah,
I mean? And I'm a big believer in that. That it is test to see if you can make it to the next level, if you can persevere and get through it. Um, Man, it was a blessing. It really was a blessing. Just for everything that happened, to be honest. But Mr. Magic Mike Draper is the one who pulled all those strings and made it happen. And I'm gonna be honest, man, that's that man, dude. I have a lot of respect for him. Just
yeah. We're having him on
Man, dude.
Friday, and I'm really looking forward to it. Deeds, I'm guessing you have some questions for Draper, and you got some questions for Fletcher too, right?
I don't know, just like getting over the drops. Do you ever, the new guys, the guys who just got out of safety, do you have people who are like literally the first day droppers who drop and are like, yep, I'm done. Let me
well,
go.
that's and see, this is what just ties back into Michael, and it ties back in to the way I was taught and the way I was trained. Like, the first time I ever went over a building, I fell. You know what I mean? I was put in the harness, I was put in the chair and everything, told this is what you unlock, this is what you do to disconnect your safety. That was
Mhm.
my training. Went over a 15-story building, started rappelling down on a 6-foot lanyard hooked up from my back and a 2XL harness, and I was weighing like 120 pounds at the time. Uh,
Wee.
yeah. Started rappelling down. Didn't, it was brand new. My safety snagged me as I'm rappelling fast, yanked me out on the 6-foot lanyard. Now I'm hanging on a rope. These genie lines that are really stretchy from a 6 foot. And it's just like, you look at things like that, man, and everyone says they're like, I can't believe you came back the next day. Like no one thought you were going to, no one thought
Mhm.
you were going to. And for me, that ties into Michael Draper and what he does. Let's use Utah, for example. That was one of the last training classes I did last year. I remember being with those kids and working with them. They're like 18, 19 years old. I remember this one little short one. He was so nice. And yeah, I got him in the harness and the helmet and everything. We're getting ready, and he's almost at center, and I just yanked, and I just lifted him off the ground right there. He was just like, "Oh God," and was nervous. And we taught them how to climb. We taught them how to do mainline failures. By the end of that class, I'm 3 stories up on this ledge, and this kid is climbing up, hanging like, "What's up, buddy? How are you?" Just how comfortable he made being taught in a classroom setting, being taught if this goes wrong, this is what you do. If this goes
Sure.
wrong, this is what you do. If this happens, it's like to have the information embedded into you and go through these things um, in a safe environment. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like a safe
Yeah.
environment. Let's practice a mainline failure and have to
Yeah.
rescue. That's
Repetitive
knowledge.
training.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's knowledge that guys on the biggest buildings in Nashville don't know. I got myself in some trouble a while back because I was walking around a really nice, pretty complex, and the window cleaners up there, half of them were wearing 6-foot lanyards hooked up from their back. Not one of them had rescue equipment on them, June bars, second descenders, anything. None of them had stopper nights tied in their ropes. And the
Lowest
work was,
bids.
yeah, and the work was just terrible. And it's just like, the thing is like, I am never mad at the techs because they're just like me. They don't know. And the thing is, not only do they don't know, they're struggling. Most of them are struggling. They're not making good money. They're not getting insurance or benefits. Um, any good piece of gear they do have, they're having to buy off Amazon or buy themselves to slowly try and upgrade their kit. There is very, very few high-rise companies that are actually taking care of their guys, and that pisses me off. You know what I mean? If there is one thing I can accomplish in our industry, um, believe it or not, dude, I'd love it if we were a union. I would love it if we were, just because I truly feel there's too many high-rise guys out there. There's high-rise guys I know that trained me when I started, and some of them have asked me for a job, you know?
yeah.
Um, this is
Well, it would put everything that way would put everything standardized. Everything would be standardized. You would have to do, you know what I mean? There
well,
would
it,
be
would- it, it
steps, there
would
would
take
be
care of
everything in
them.
order.
Well, because
Yeah.
this comes off bad on my part. I'm gonna be honest. Some of these guys are in their mid 40s, torn shoulders, torn knees. That's what our industry does to you. And it's like they were making good piece rate at our old company, but as you get older, just like when you're new, you can't do as much as the guys who are seasoned and hitting it. But as you get
Yeah.
older, you can't do as much as them.
Yep.
So now you're making less. And it's just like it's one of those things where these guys get out there and they grind their bodies to shoulder injuries, knee injuries, you name it, to they're out of work, for what? For what? To make
Yeah.
the company owner rich while they struggle? There's enough money in this industry to go around to take care of your guys. Um, and dude, that's just where I draw the line in the sand.
There sure is. Hey, so Damien's here, Jessica Battle's in the building, Chuck D is here. Um, let's see, couple of Craig Hensel's in the building, Grace was here earlier, but Damien said something real nice, and he's like, "Look, man, what do you say? Fletcher taught me how to self-rescue."
Did.
Damien's been cleaning windows for over 20 years. He's a friend of ours, a mutual
Yeah,
friend.
he's a friend of mine too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
that's what I'm saying.
Damien.
That's what I'm saying. He's a friend of
Yeah,
all three of ours.
yeah,
I got nothing but love and respect for that cat. And he's out here telling me, like, look, Fletch taught me this, and this is
yeah.
another thing too that I love about our industry is like we can give props when props are due. And that's something
Yeah, it
that
was
you're
fun in that class. Damien, I remember he was sitting there, we were trying to get him through it, and he was doing the self-rescue, and me and him were like making eye contact. I was like, "You got this. You got this. I can't say anything. You got
yeah,
this. You got it." And I was like, "My man, yes."
yes. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing though. You get in those classes and people like Damien been doing it 20 years and learning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like now he knows that. But think about these new kids that know it, right off the rip. Because
Yeah.
you're gonna touch with Draper. what was it in 2024? We had, I think it was 5 or 6 deaths, and 4 or 5 of them had over 20 years experience. And every
Yep.
one of those deaths could have been prevented if they were practicing safer practices. It's like
Ugh.
I go back and look at my old content, man. The amount of times I could have ended up dead watching that, and me and Michael would joke about it now. He was like, "Man, I had to stop watching your content." He was like, "He's like, I love the heights and I love everything you do." He said, "But seeing all the things that could go wrong with the way you were
Yeah.
doing things worried me, and that's where I'll touch on Michael, dude, because it's like, dude, he didn't know me. Michael did not know me at all, aside from a guy on the
Some
internet he
content.
talked to. And the next thing you know, he's flying me across the country, completely having me train classes with him, giving me the top of the line gear because he sees that I can help influence our industry to do better. You know what I mean?
It's
It's like,
super important.
Cool.
yeah, he just wants people to be safe and live. That's it.
Yep.
Absolutely. And like I said, we can't wait to have him on to his class. And I don't know if you've caught a couple of these episodes recently, but I've talked about some of the things that I've wanted to personally try and do. I'll be 50 in a couple years, so I'm trying to start
What?
checking. Yeah, I'm 47. I'll be,
God, you look so young.
I'll be 50 in like 2.5 years or something. It's
You look
crazy.
like you're barely 30.
Thank you, my man.
God.
So he has a class that I definitely want to take. I was fortunate enough yesterday to go out and get my hands on a drone and fly a
Mhm.
drone for 10 minutes or so, something like that. And that was one thing that I've wanted to do. But I want to do the RDS class and I want to learn how to comfortably and safely navigate and do at least, I don't want to just do the class, but I want to do one job.
Mhm.
One day, one job, go out, at least, you know what I mean? Like I want to
Yeah,
do class,
yeah.
but one day I want to go out and do a job because I think it's important in our industry, me in particular, and Deeds as well. If we're out here talking about these things, we kind of have to have some kind of knowledge of it,
Some kind
right?
of firsthand experience. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell anybody something that I don't have knowledge of. I mean, I
Mhm.
can give you my opinion, but my opinion doesn't mean shit if I haven't done it, right?
Dude, see, that's my exact opinion too. And that's one thing I love about our COO. His name's Dimitri, and he's a really good dude, first and foremost. But second of all, he started as a tech, worked his way up through the whole company. And when he brought me into this role and we sat down, he said, "Man, we got some branches that we need to do better." He said, "And I want guys like you." He said, "I don't want to be getting guys," he said, "out of college that have some degree but know nothing about window cleaning, nothing about our industry." He said, "I want
Yeah.
guys like you that know it, know what they can do." He said, and he's just like, can really change the industry and help push it. And that's the thing. It's just like branching away from that and trusting your people and taking care of your people. That's gone far for us, man. It's gone far.
Well, let's use another, we're all buddies with Alex and Chris Lambrinides,
Hmm.
and they give back to the community and they're always looking out for us, you know what I mean? And it sounds like you guys kind of have that same, you know what I mean? It's like that mantra that give back, that hey, let's do things the right way. Let's make sure
Hmm.
everybody's taken care of. You know what I mean? It's
But
and
that's one thing I love about this company, man, is when I took and it's like when I took this position, that was my line in the sand was I want to do things better for the guys in my industry. You take care of the guys, they're going to do
Cool.
better work, they're going to take care of your buildings, they're going to make your property managers happy. It always starts with the guys. Um, and it's just, I mean, dude, that's what's done it. That's what's done it. You know what I mean? And it's just like to have the company that will sit there and value the guys. You know as well as I do. So many of these companies just look at numbers and that's it. Their guys are
yeah,
numbers. If I can look at a job and it's not priced correctly, for example, and it's one I need to get priced right. To say I inherited, it was in this company before I came in. They were telling me, they said, "You always take care of your guys. We would rather the company take a hit 1 month than your guys take a hit." And to
yeah.
have someone that values their people, man, it just matters. And like they actually do things like Employee Appreciation Week where they're sending, all these, and it may be little things, but it's like lunch boxes, you know, cups or catering full lunches, like, and not cheap lunches, like nice
Yeah.
lunches, telling me to take the whole crew out to dinner, take them all out here. Like they legitimately do things like that. Um, and the fact that they're actually willing, in our industry, this company will actually pay for you to get your SPRAT certifications, pay for you to get all your IRATA certifications. Um, and that's big. That's big.
Yeah.
A lot of
When
companies
you
don't want to do that for their guys because they know if they do and their guys get those certifications, then their
they can
career
dip.
can actually take off. Instead of
Yeah.
them just knowing how to repel and clean a window, they can keep them just in that spot and their thumb on them where you're just good enough to just repel and clean windows, you know?
Yeah. Hey, so we've got a couple people. Chuck D, he wants to know what's your TikTok? What is your how does he follow you?
SQUAGGAWAGGA 2.
Swaggle Wagga 2, something like that?
Mhm.
You're gonna have to say it again, buddy, because you even lost me.
SQUAGGAWAGGA 2.
All right. There you go. Chuck D, Swaggle Wagga 2.
There you go.
There you go. Back to the TikTok thing, since we're on it, actually, do you have any tips for people who are trying to create content, for people who are trying to get more followers, for people who are trying to get more views? I know you may not want to share your
No, I don't care. I'll be honest with you. Dude, it's funny when I had been making content for almost a year before I ever put it on TikTok. I had been making it and editing it for myself, random Instagram reels, random videos, random shit just for me and my friends to see. And I started dating this one girl, and she's like, "Do you have TikTok?" And I was like, "No, why?" And she was like, "Oh, there's this video I saw of this window cleaner someone recorded on the inside." And she sent it to me, and I downloaded the app to see it. Obviously, you're talking to a chick, so I downloaded it to
yeah.
see it. And it's actually one of my buddies, Austin. And
Hmm.
they recorded him from the inside, and the video got like 2 million views. And she was like, "That's crazy. Would you ever do something like that?" And I was like, "Do you know how much content I have?" I said, "That is
Yeah.
way more engaging than that." She was like, "You should put it online." I uploaded a handful of videos that night, dude, with no intention of getting a follower or any followers. The next day, I had 10,000 followers.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was
Shit,
practically
shit.
overnight just because of how much content I had. And with the company I was working with at the time, that's the thing about the company I was working with. They got Nashville on lock when it comes to high rises. I'm working to get this one there and we're doing really well. But they got it on lock. So it was 365 all days of the year. I was on some kind of high rise. The amount of content I was able
Yeah.
to get, um, I had an abundance, so it was just putting it up. And for me, back then, like I said, it wasn't monetized, and I didn't
Yeah.
care. I would put up content, I would edit videos that I thought looked cool of window cleaning, and then occasionally it just caught a random conversation, and that one, it's typically the ones you don't think are going to take off that take off. My ones that have the most views about my son getting sick. I just thought that was a cool window cleaning right there. It was good chopped up. I was cleaning, working at the same time on the phone. I didn't think anything of it. It's like those are the ones that do well. But that's where it's come to be now, where it's biting me in the ass because I've got to be incredibly careful about what I put online now. And
Yeah.
in the position I have, it's one thing when I just used to be a tech and work on
Now
building.
you're the lead.
Now I'm the lead, and a while back, I put out a video talking about how bad some window cleaning was on one building. It was a brand new building. I was talking about how bad it was. Lo and behold, I was in talks of bidding those jobs. And even though I was talking bad, I was just talking bad about the work, and the way I meant it was I was just talking bad about people are in our industry doing bad work because they're not taken care of. It came
Yeah.
off as I was saying property managers didn't know how to do their job.
Yeah. I remember
So,
talking to you about that that couple
so,
meetings ago.
so it's one of those things where I have to really, any content I put up now, I have to personally scrutinize it from every lens. And that's the
Yeah.
paranoia effect now, where if I do post something and I watch it an hour later or something like that, and this is where paranoia gets to me, and I see there's no comments on it, there's a handful of likes, but for some reason it's got 7 shares. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, huh, did I say something in there? Did this just get sent to somebody it shouldn't have gotten sent to because I said something wrong? Should I take this one down? Like, that's the scrutiny you have to worry about. And that's the
Yeah.
pushback I tell you the approach I have about the passion we have for windows, when I see terrible work on a building, when I see a crew is not trained right or improper, it does anger me. It does want me to make me want to say something. Um, but it seems
Bite your tongue, Fletcher
it,
Denning.
it seems like sometimes it's better to just keep my mouth shut and go about it another way. But it's just like it's hard to keep your mouth shut sometimes. It's
Yeah.
hard, especially when you're seeing, you know, for example, that same day, this was like a couple days after that kid fell off the mountain, 3,500 feet, that Balin Miller, because he didn't have a stopper knot on the end of his rope. You watch the
Oof.
video, you see the tail end of his rope whipping up, whipping up, whipping up, and he goes right off it. It's like, dude would have had a stopper knot, that would have stopped, and he could have climbed right up. That is the first knot you should ever be taught, and that's how Michael teaches. I didn't know that not until I ever went to Michael's class. The amount of buildings I did where I threw was on a 20-story building, and you're going off this wall, the anchors are right here, right? Right by the wall. Now you're flipping to this wall, but you're having to tie back way back here, and it's actually higher up on elevation because that goes down on the street. You think you're just running and gunning all day, so you just throw your ropes over, same size building, drop down, go. Next thing you know, you didn't even know your ropes are 2.5, 3 stories short. You
Oof.
don't, and some people don't catch it. You'll be hanging and your boy next to you be like, oh, bro, your rope's short. Bro, your rope is short. I can't tell you how many clips I have of us and our guys hanging and someone be like, oh, your rope's short. And people are like, oh, shit, because they didn't know. What if someone didn't tell them? I mean, granted, we run a two-line system, so safety would have caught them, then would have had to do a one line, but it's just like, dude, the more educated you get, you start to look back at all the dumb shit you did. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
and how much could have gone wrong. Uh, and that's just, I don't know, man. If I can help save one life in my whole career, by what I do, if I'm able to, and that's what sticks out with me with Michael, if me changing the way I did things to do them the best, the safest, top of the line. If you can take a wild cowboy like me and do that,
Yeah.
and if I can try to encourage the next generation to do that, I may just help save one life one day, and just by that knowledge, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Yep.
that's it for me.
Outstanding. When I met you the first time, people were telling me, "Oh, that's Fletcher Denning," and because you were on the other side of the bar, and man, he's got a ton of TikTok followers and this and that. Now, I didn't have TikTok at the time, so that like that kind of thing didn't really impress me or didn't really mean anything to me. Um, and I at that time too, I wasn't really creating any window cleaning content. I was doing before and after pictures pretty much, right?
Hmm.
And I had had my Facebook page for at that point probably 11 years or something because I'd been in business since 2012. But it was always like boring, like before and afters, like and then, I hear about all these people making these videos and this and that. And at the same point, I was also doing I had just gotten the Ray-Bans and I was interviewing. I
Yeah.
interviewed you, I interviewed Deeds. I was interviewing guys about their profession, what their title was and this and that. And I got a feeling about like how close and how unified our industry really was and how close we were, regardless of where you were, where Deeds was, where Craig Hensel was, where Frank Rave was, like because we were all together, and because we all had that same passion for everything, I felt like we were completely unified. Like it was a really amazing weekend for me. But it also kind of opened my eyes that like, look, maybe I should create some other kind of content and maybe other people will enjoy watching it. Now, obviously, I did get TikTok, but still not for another year later or so. And I'm not out here trying to monetize my stuff or anything like that, although it would be pretty rad. Um, but what are some of, or who are some of your favorite guys to watch? Do you have anybody that you enjoy
Oh yeah.
watching on creating content, window cleaner wise?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ground guys, high rise guys.
When it comes to ground guys, my two favorite, and it's just because the sheer I'm a guy who makes content
Yeah.
and I see the beauty of window cleaning. And I'll tell you one thing, anytime I ever released a video that was just a raw clip does well. Anytime
Hmm.
I spend a couple hours editing a clip of nice window cleaning, perfection, good technique, never does well. But those are my favorite videos that I come across. And
Yeah.
because the best one of those is Nick Williams, Master
Yep.
Squeegee, and Rui. You know,
Yep.
those two, they put
So
out, and they put out some of the best just content, for ground window cleaning that just looks good, those befores and afters and the process. It's just really good, well put
Breeze
together
going.
content. High-rise guys, honestly, there's not a lot. Honestly, Marie, it's a lot of Hispanics. I like their content. I'm friends with a lot of
Yeah.
those guys. Rui, I mean, Marie puts out a lot. And then you also have that one cowboy. I don't know why his name is escaping me. He's like the goat, man. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Mike Rosa. Mike Rosa.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
love Mike Rosa. Now one thing about Mike Rosa, he's as cowboy as they come.
He's wild. I
I
don't know
got,
him personally, and
yeah,
I haven't had any interaction with him,
yeah,
but I too am a fan. Like I'm like,
yeah.
this dude's bonkers.
That man, he is you know, he's got it. He's got it going on. He does some stuff that I'm just like, oh boy, boy, but
Yeah.
I tip my hat to that man because he's a beast. He's an
Yeah.
absolute beast. I watch him in one city, the next, that evening he's on a flight to another city, and doing another job. So I'm real proud to watch him and his brother, how they're blowing up.
cool.
Doing real well. But yeah, I got a lot of respect for Mike, man. He's an animal. He's an
Yeah.
animal.
There are a lot of guys in our industry that do put out some really dope content. Nick is one of my favorites to watch as well.
Mhm.
Rui has become like a friend of mine, and
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
so. Before I went to the first time, or maybe it was the second time, before I started asking all these questions, I I sent Rui a personal message and I DM'd him and I was like, dude, I just want to tell you, I'm a big fan. Like, you're always doing amazing stuff. And, it doesn't mean anything coming from just a goofy ass American,
Oh, it
someone
does,
a
man.
resident. Well,
It does.
this is what I was telling him. Like, I was like, dude, it's just, I'm just some residential window cleaner from America, but I wanted you to know that I really dig your work. And he sent me back a voice text.
Hmm.
And it made my day. It gave me goosebumps. Like, it
Hmm.
made me feel like, A, I was part of the club and like somebody else
Oh,
that he took the time out of his day. So I'll always be a fan of Ruiz. And like you mentioned, Nick as well. Mike, like I said, I want to do a deep dive on him now because I have seen a bunch of his stuff, and one of these days I'd like to get him on because you use the term cowboy. He seems definitely like that. Cowboy
oh
in the
yeah.
sky.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Before Mike got to me, I could probably honestly say me and before Michael Draper got to me,
Yeah.
honestly say me and Mike Rosa were probably the two biggest cowboys out there putting out content, like the
Yeah.
biggest, and I got nothing but respect for him for doing what he's doing. Um, I really do. For me, uh, I don't repel near as much as I used to. Unfortunately, I do love when I get to. Those are like I really enjoy it now. I mean, I've always enjoyed it, but I really enjoy it when I get to. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've just got a lot of respect for him doing it.
That's dope. So how often do you get to actually drop and get on the lines again?
Honestly, man, it depends. Like right now, I've got a good crew, so it's like right now, they're knocking out some buildings and I'm building out and locking stuff down to continue scheduling our next year and doing meetings. So I can't be out there, but it's like when we're doing a restoration on Bridgestone Tower, right? I probably shouldn't have said what building it was. Anyways, doing
Yeah.
a restoration on one building, and I got another window cleaning job going on another. And this when I had to pull on more guys. Well, the restoration job I had going on, mathematically, I had only thought it was going to take about 2 days per drop, ended up taking about three. So that's a whole extra day in labor with three guys I got out there. Trying not to
Yeah.
run high labor. I have another really good building, which was a 22 story I set up around the same time. So what I did, I had some of my guys out there, and I went out there as well and worked for 3 or 4 days on that building to save that labor, take
Yeah.
that
Eat the
labor
labor.
and push it
Yep.
into my guys on the other job. So it's like I'll try and do that as much as I can. Or like when there was one job that when I took over this company, they didn't do too great of a job on it. Like I could tell it didn't look good. So while we're running other ones, that's the type of thing where I'll take my operations manager, John, and be like, hey, you stay on this building and get it right. I'll come help you when I can. And I'll be calling him at like 10 o'clock, like, hey, I'll be there by 12. By the time I'm there, he's ready for his next drop and has my rope set up with him. You know what I
Sweet.
mean? So I'm able to hit him, do a little bit while we got something else going on with a whole crew somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really, I've got to bounce around between so many different things. And it's like, I had them on another building a week or so ago. And it was running a little longer than it needed to. And for me to take care of labor, I had bid another restoration job. And so I went and did that entire job by myself, just ground level restoration. But that made it to where they all had a really good week and labor was good. So it's like I constantly see myself as, you know, I mean, I'm a numbers guy, I always have been.
Yeah.
So I'm really good. You can tell this board behind me. You've got like multiple different jobs up there at different percentages, trying to get to the whole month at where I want to be at and what I pay out at. But that's the thing. I'm willing to do that. There is, and that's where it comes back to if my company's willing to take care of my guys, I'll do what I got to do to take care of my guys. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if it's something like that, like I will do what needs to be done for them. And they know
So
that.
what's been the biggest learning curve or the biggest challenge for you to going from being a guy, a drop guy of one of the cogs to being
Mhm.
the guy? I mean, now
Dude,
you're motivating, now you're setting schedules, now you're bidding. What has been the biggest challenge, or let's say, bless you, what has been the most difficult thing for you to overcome so far?
man, it's the line between blue collar and white collar. Right now, I play both roles. You know what I mean? One day
How
I'll
about
be
you just wear a t-shirt, Fletcher?
well, one day I'll be on the side of the building with my guys. The next day I'm at a huge event with people that went to college for 7 years. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? In full suits and everything, and I have to play both roles.
It's
But
kind of it's kind of like your Batman. Think about it.
yeah, you have to know, you know what I mean? You have to know how to play both those roles and work in both those industries. But for me, that's a blessing because I love both industries. I love not being stuck to one. You know what I mean? I love where that I get to go do things with these people, these events, these charity events. I love doing stuff like that. Um, and all kinds of stuff. It's like I love that aspect of the business, but at the same time it shines such a light to where I work so much more with this now.
yeah,
What I mean? And I work so many hours a day with this from first thing in the morning. So I'll be up at, one of my guys will call me at 9 o'clock at night. But what are you doing? Like, "No, I'm on my laptop working."
yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm always working, morning or night, weekend, you name it. But it's like I work so much more with this as to where I used to work 5 days a week, just repelling, and every
Physically.
day I'd be exhausted. I mean, just wanting to come home and just sit down. So physically, I've got more energy. Physically, I can do more things. Mentally, I'm drained, but that's where I constantly circle back to the fact where I won't forget where I came from because I know how hard those guys are working. I know that I'm still dealing with staph infections where I'm having to go to infectious disease experts to get these under control before they kill my ass, because I got that disease about 2 years ago and it's been real bad how bad they've been coming up. And thankfully, I finally have insurance. We're getting to the bottom of it, got me in specialist and everything. But before that, man, just working on the side of these buildings, it was just outbreak after outbreak, no health insurance, trying to buy this, trying to buy that, put a band-aid on it. Basically, you're not really getting treatment. And it's just like, I won't forget where I came from because I know what would have happened to me. I know where I see the guys that trained me when I'm started, where they're already at. They can't perform. They're making less money. They're hurt. They're, just getting older. And I see their trajectory. I see the guys
Yeah.
that are older in industry. I see where they've ended up, and it's like I don't want that for me, but I damn sure don't want that for my guys. You know what I mean? I don't. It's not right. I don't know, man. That's a hill I'll die on.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So let me ask you real quick too. We talked about blue collar, white collar. Before we actually got on air and went live, you and I and Mark were talking a little bit about like BOMA meetings and the white collar aspect of what it
Yeah.
is you're doing now. What are some of the fun things that you get to do now that you are in management staff or now that
Well,
you're higher up?
for
And what are some of the
example,
things too that you find that are helping your business continue to grow? Because all of our
mhm,
guests and people that pop in, they're all looking for growth. The majority
yeah.
of them are looking for growth as well. So can you give them some tips and some of the
Look,
things that you've helped to grow your company?
I'll be honest with you. BOMA has been a huge help for me. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first came into this branch and took it over, they're like, yeah, you got to do these BOMA events. And it's like building owners, managers, associations, something like that. There's like a 2-year waiting list to get in. But once you get in, you go to these monthly luncheons and these monthly events where you'll go to a monthly luncheon where you sit down and have a guest speaker, a lunch, and a guest speaker will speak. Like we had Defense Systems talk about workplace shootings and taught everyone first aid, how to apply tourniquets, all that kind of stuff, you know. But they teach you all that, but then you're also networking with all these property managers. You're networking with all these property managers that are over these buildings, meeting them, putting a face to the name, talking. Then you go to an evening one where they actually have alcohol. Someone has like a drink, it's a little loosened up. You know what I mean? You talk, you get
Yeah.
personable. It's not just here's the numbers, we want to do your building. You're like, hey man, my name's Fletch. What do you do? You're actually getting to know people personally, and that helps a lot. But what I will say, and this is one thing I've noticed within my company, which my higher ups have told me, um, I can't stand sitting in the office. I can't stand it. You know what I mean? I call this place my personal prison. I do a lot of work here that I've got to do, but for me, I'm the type of guy where I'm not going to sit here and wait for a lead to come in or an email to come in or someone to pick up the phone and randomly call. The amount of buildings that I went to and would walk in the front door and start asking questions like, hey, my name is so and so, I work for so and so. Is your property manager available? I'd really like to talk to you about your windows. You know, there's some places that'll just tell you to leave. There's some
Yeah.
places they'll say they're not here. There's some places you'll get right in the door. You know what I mean? But there's some I had to go back 15 times. But guess what? We did their building. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you've got to go after it and be persistent. But um, and this is one thing which really matters, which a lot of people in our industry think it shouldn't. A lot of people in our industry think it shouldn't. You got to come correct. You know what I mean? Like too many people have that mentality of like someone shouldn't judge me for the way I look or the way I dress and stuff like that. And it's like you're right. People shouldn't judge you for that. But if you're
Yeah.
coming to them to bring business to them and you're talking about business and money, you should come correct. It should be yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. What can I do for you? You should have a collared shirt on. You should be shaved. You should be groomed. You should look good to where you're on that job site or you walk up into that building. You don't look like some, hobo where they're wondering like, why is this guy here? You should look like, man, why is this really nice dressed up guy here? Let me go see what he wants. That matters. You know what I mean? That matters. The way you look, the way you first interact with them matters. It matters how you get into the door. It matters how you talk to that security desk person, ask them how their day is. How are you doing this morning? You having a good day? It's nice out there. Don't just be like, hey, I need to see your property manager. Like, ask them, talk to them, be polite, treat them like a person, and they're going to go farther for you. You know what I mean? They hold the keys where they can be like, yeah, they're not in, or they're not seeing anybody, or they can be like, you know what, this guy seems really nice. Let me make that call. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like it's
Yep.
that simple that changes it. And the thing is like it doesn't guarantee you're going to get it. It's a numbers game. If you go bid $1 million worth of jobs and you pull, 150K out of it, nice. But if you're only going out there and going after 100,000, well, don't be sad when you only get 10,000. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like get out there and hit the pavement. For Nashville, for example, you can go anywhere in Nashville, just walk through and see, okay, I can tell this building hasn't been done in easily 6 months, or I can tell this has been done recently, but I see none of these frames are getting wiped. I see all these rundowns. I see these smears. You know what I mean? I see how bad it's getting maintained. Let me go point that out. Let me go have a chat. You know what I mean? It's just like you've got to be willing to do it. And I've seen too many people that have that mindset where they're like, I don't want to put the money and the time in it unless I know I'm going to get something out of it. And it's just like, well, then you ain't ever going to get anywhere in
That's
business.
shitty business practice.
Yeah, you're never going to get anywhere. It's like that's what kind of gets me when it's like you hear about when like a realtor is selling a house, and you want to
And
go
they're trying to jam you up over $200 on a house that's going to be
for
$5 million.
for a house
Like,
visit. They want like a $200 for you to come and visit the house and look at it. You know what I mean? Do you know how many jobs I go out on a regular basis and we'll go bid it, do the numbers, send the contract over, nothing, and I never hear a word back? That's part of it. You know what I mean? It's part of it. So it's
yeah.
just like hearing things like that blow me away. Um, and at the end of the day, dude, like I'm new to this. I've only been running this company for a year. And I went from just being a tech to good luck.
Well, that's why that's one of the reasons. First off, you and I have had the opportunity to meet a couple times in person. I got a chance to have some lunch with you over the summer. You were fucking rad. You came out to Nashville you were actually you lived there, but you were working that day when we were in at the
Yeah.
Huge. You took some time out of your day. You came down to say what's up to Chris, Alex, myself,
Oh
Jersey,
yeah.
Steve-O, all the gang. It was we all love and appreciate you. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on too, is because your personality shines bright, baby. You know what I mean? And that's a
I
great thing.
appreciate that.
Of course, dude. And that's a really cool, fun thing and personable thing about you. But your work speaks for itself. And now also how you're carrying it on to the next generation and your employees is something that I really wanted to highlight.
Mhm.
So we really appreciate you coming on. Mark Tanner popped in. He says, "What's up, Fletch?"
What's
Uh,
up, Mark?
I think
Nothing but
Mark's.
respect for that boy.
Yeah, that dude's insane. He's the best. I
Man,
think
he
him and
is.
Eddie are hanging out today. I,
And
I
he's
think.
he's an old goat, man. He's been in it for a long time. You got to have respect for Mark Tanner. Mark actually reminds me a lot of my old boss, and that's the thing. Like, that's what I talk about my old boss, dude. Like, I have nothing but respect and love for that man. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's like he's been doing it 40 years. Um, and that's one thing me and him talked about. I was like, I want you to know, I was like, I'm going after a handful of the competition in town. I said, like, a lot of our old competition. I was like, I ain't gonna go after any of our old ones. He's like, I appreciate that. And I was like, man, no problem, man. I said, but the way I want it, I said, I want this entire city to be yours and mine. You know? So,
yeah.
but
If
it's
it's
one,
not mine, it's yours, and if it's not
yeah.
yours, it's mine.
Yeah, and the thing is, or if the other companies are doing good work, you know what I mean? If you're
Yeah,
out there and I walk past your building and it looks beautiful, like the glass looks good, you're actually detailing the frames, you're not skimping, you're doing good work. I ain't gonna go near that building because it's being maintained properly. And I know Mark has that same mentality. If he sees a beautiful building that's maintained, he ain't gonna walk in that front door. If he sees one that's dirty and looks like crap, then you can walk in that front door. That's simple respect to your industry you know. Um, but yeah, Mark is a smart man. He knows a lot.
he sure as hell is. He recently got the skid mark out. He was one of our first guests, and I've told him this once or twice before, and I've said it on multiple times. He's got to be one of the first guys that we go back to as a second appearance. We have yet to have anybody on twice, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
But he's got to be right up there for one of the guys that I want to have on immediately
absolutely. Well,
when
he's
we're
he's
on
got
round
one of those
two.
good personalities. You just like to talk to him, and he's a good old country boy. You can't get better than that.
No, and he
Yeah.
knows his shit, and he's dialed in, fun and easy to talk to, super knowledgeable, and I really just enjoy learning from other guys in the industry. And one of the things that you mentioned too is kind of like how to operate, right? It's like the personality traits, the things. I'm always trying to adapt and learn and adopt things from other guys. When I see somebody that does something properly or does something right, I want to see if I can implement that into my approach. or my day-to-day working. So both of you guys, Mark and Fletch, you guys both, have great qualities about you that I try to dial into my day-to-day stuff as well.
I appreciate that, man. I mean,
Hell yeah.
this
Hey,
industry's taught me a lot, man. All you guys have. I
well,
mean,
dude, it's one of the coolest things about this industry too is, and as I continue to grow and as we continue to put more stuff and content out there on this show, we get the opportunities to meet more and more people. And it's been, dude, window cleaning has opened thousands of
so many
doors for me,
doors.
and I'm just beyond grateful.
Well, that's like the other day I was going into Publix and with my son. And I make my own soap. I've been making it for years. Eventually, I'm going to get it in the market just to have another one out there for you guys. It's good for high rise guys in the sun, doesn't dry as fast. But long story short, and whenever I see window cleaners out in the field, I always stop and give them a bottle. You know, I mean,
I'm
always.
guilty of that. I don't give them
Yeah.
anything, but I always shake their hand and see what
Oh,
they're up
I
to.
always have bottles that I've made and give him one. We'll talk to him. And I walked up to this one, and I see WCR stickers on his stuff, and I start talking to him for a minute. And he was like, first of all, I kind of caught him off guard. I was like, hey, man, I said, I just want to bring you some of my soap. I said, my name's Fletch, introduced. I was like, try it when you're doing these exteriors. I said, these ones that are right here in the sun. I said, use this soap. I said, and see how much time it gives you before it dries on that glass versus whatever solution you're already using. And, we just got to talking, and he was like, man, he said, I watch Steve-O the window cleaner a lot. You ever seen him? And I was like, I was just with him a couple months ago. I said we went out to the huge convention, then we went out to Maggiano's, and he had a whole bottle of wine to himself. And he lost it. I was like, the funny thing is, I said, Steve-O, I love Steve-O,
Yeah,
but Steve-O's content, I started watching him and Luke the window cleaner before I ever started making content. Like,
yeah.
I was using their techniques on the ground, their wrist movement, their setups, and I was taking that to the air. So when I met Steve-O later on, a couple of years down, I was like, "Hey man, I'm so nice to meet you. My name's Fletch." He was like, "Bro, I know who you are. Your content's some of my favorite." You know?
Bro, I was there with you.
Yeah,
Dude, I remember that so vividly. You're like, bro, I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of fanboying over this.
yeah,
Evo's over
yeah,
there. And I remember, and I totally remember that. And I can see the
yeah,
smile on your face too, that
yeah, man.
it meant a lot to you.
It did, man, and it's like I saw him again next year at the huge, and like I said, we went out to eat this year, and I'm planning on going to Denver sometime. But when I went last time, I told him I was coming. He's like, "Man, you're like an hour and a half from where I'm coming. If I would have known or I wasn't so busy, we could have met up." But it's one of those things now where like when I know when I'm going to Denver next time, he's gonna know like 2 weeks ahead of time, if not
Yeah,
three.
you bet.
We're getting dinner, you know.
Yeah, lock it in. Lock it
Yeah.
in.
I mean,
There's
he's just,
been,
me and him hit it off, and he just cracked me up too, just the way as soon as we were all talking about food last time, and I was like, man, are you guys, they were just talking about like places near Opry Mills, terrible tourist places that are
yeah,
terrible, crazy lines. And I was like, we could just drive to Maggiano's. And Steve-O was like, Maggiano's? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like he was on board. So after that, nobody else had to say. Me and
that's
Steve had
awesome.
made up the minds.
That's awesome.
But
Hey,
no, it's fun.
I mentioned to you last week before we came on that sometimes on Wednesdays, not sometimes, we like to talk a little bit about a tool
Mhm.
or what's in your bucket Wednesdays.
Yeah,
I don't know if you have anything around, but
give me one sec.
is there a go-to when you're on a gig that something that you use that is always in your bucket or always handy for you?
I can show you if you got a sec.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
go for it.
Give me one sec.
Yeah, what size T bar? What size channels? Yesterday I
I
did
tried to prep him a little bit on this, Mark, so that way maybe he's like, well, I'm going to
it's
be in the
around, yeah,
office, so
yeah.
what are you doing today, buddy?
Today I'm gonna do Christmas lights and then other stuff. But yesterday I did a deluxe package. I got to use my Sorbo yesterday. Large golf course panes of glass. There's like 12 of them in the back of a house. So a lot of fun. Got my
Love
stretching
it.
out. But going to do a large house reinstallation for Christmas lights this morning and
All
probably
right.
schedule somebody for the afternoon.
I'm
Nice.
gonna be real with you guys
You
because
brought the whole bucket.
I did. I still love this because now I know everyone has it now, but I still have the first one, guys. This was the prototype. This was the prototype of the
I
one.
Nice.
watched you try and finagle that too, and I was like, he's gonna get it. And
I did get it. I
if
did.
anybody
They gave it to
besides
me.
him gets it, I'm gonna be bent.
Yeah, but so I love this setup, honestly, because I just love the handle for it. I've always loved it in small ones.
I can't believe you've worn it that you've used
I
it that
know.
much, bro. It's only been since August. Holy
I
shit.
know. But me personally, this has always been my favorite is the Unger and the 24 for high rise. But I do love this handle with it now. But for some reason, I still just like it better with an 18. But my favorite all-time squeegee, dude, is the old Unger Zero.
Hmm.
You ain't gonna do any better
Sure.
for me because I like to when I squeegee, I use my fingers, man. A lot of people will hold this, but like I will guide with my fingers. You know what I mean? And like when I zero, I am
Yeah,
constantly using my fingers like this on the top of it. That's how I do it. And something about zero, and it's just so satisfying. You know what I mean? It's so satisfying. Um, those are my favorites, though. You know.
nice. I didn't own a zero until about 6 months ago. Our buddy Squeegee Tom sent me one, and I didn't even attempt to use it for, I don't know, about 4 months, 5 months. And it kind of sat there. Dude, I'm a residential cleaner and I barely ever use a pole. So I've just
Yeah.
figured I don't really need it. Um,
Saves your back from bending over on those ground ones though, because you can once you get good enough with a pole and a zero, like when we're doing um, these floors inside of buildings, you know
yeah,
what I mean? The way we'll structure it, we'll have four guys. We'll have one guy who goes ahead and pulls up all the blinds and moves the furniture. Then you have one guy who comes in and wets the entire window from top to bottom with a pole. Another
yeah,
guy with him who zeros that window from top to bottom with a pole. The last guy comes through and wipes the frames with sponges and cleans it and puts the blinds
nice.
back where they go. So you go through a whole system like that through floors.
Straight assembly line.
Great assembly, but having a zero on a pole, you're not having to bend over. You're standing still, going up and down. If you're having to get that on your hand, you're having to lean down and get down on the ground. And
Is
that
that why my
it
back's
sucks.
killing me?
Dude, it sucks, and your knee will kill you too. You got to think if you're doing one of those 30-story office buildings during the winter months, and your guys are spending 2 weeks, to do a 30 stories worth of floors on interiors, 2 weeks on insides, 8-hour days, and your guys are going up and down on that knee, carrying the bucket, floor to floor, round and around, carrying, carrying, carrying. It's just like to get a smooth system, because a lot of places they'll hole the top part of the window and leave it. Then your bottom people have to come and wet the bottom and then squeegee all that and then clean it all up. And you can do that, but if your top people are efficient with poles and with zeros, you can
Yeah,
get floors done twice as fast and it's less wear and tear on your guys on the poles. They're going to get wore out because they are humming through some windows, but your guys that are taking the brunt, getting down on one knee over and over and over again is going
yeah,
to save them a lot of wear and tear, which you should do. I,
yeah. It's
I
funny.
I always pushed myself harder running a pole to help my guys on the bottom because I'd rather push myself harder on a pole and be a little wore out than be the one who has to be behind the guy with the pole who's only doing half the window. You know what I mean? So that's the way I always saw it.
So I spent like, I don't know, 2 days trying to train myself on my house with the pole and with the younger zero. And I'm proficient, but I was like, damn, if I would have tried this 10 years ago, maybe my back would, you know what I mean? That's kind of like what you're saying. And our buddy Chuck Charles Smith, Chuck D, he just posted a video yesterday doing that same technique, top, bottom, that whole thing. So I definitely see the efficiency in it. I just was, I guess I just, when you're afraid to do something because you're afraid you're gonna fail, and
Oh,
you're
dude,
like, I don't want to do it because I suck at it,
that's prime example. It's
you're like, why would I do that when I can do it this way just as fast? And you're like, yeah, well, now
It's
my back hurts.
that's when I first started, and this is why I go back to my old boss, man. The way he trained me was a blessing, because a lot of window cleaners suck and they're trained by shitty people.
Dipshits.
I was trained by an absolute goat. He's been doing it over 40 years. His family did it before him. And the thing is, I remember one of my first weeks, he had given me a pole and a bonnet and a squeegee and showed me how to pull these first story windows, right?
Hmm.
And he comes up about a couple of hours throughout the day and sees me standing up, with the bonnet because I'm tall enough to reach it. If I stand
Yeah.
real tall, then I can stand up and get the squeegee and get it. And he comes over, he watched me do one or two, and he was like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I can honestly get them done a little bit faster, doing them this way." He was like, "Yeah." He said, "But you're killing yourself. You're wearing yourself out. He said, you're trying so hard to scrub all the way up there and then get all the way down there and then and squeegee all that. He was like, right now, he said, these pay labor wise about $5 a window. He said, at the rate it's taking you to do them, he said, I'm losing about $10 an hour right now. He said, with you doing it with a pole. He said, yeah, with you doing it with your hand, you're able to get it, but you're killing yourself. He said, if you learn to use this pole, he said, you're going to get way efficient where you're going to make a lot of money and I'm not losing money. He said, so right
Yeah.
now, he said, this is a learning thing where you're going to learn this technique and it's going to be better for you to make more money and it's going to be better for your body. He was like, it's just something you got to learn. And so teaching it at that aspect and not just being like, you're going to do it this way because I told you, but in explaining as to why. It's not like need to explain to something like, I'm your boss. I don't need to explain to you. You do what I say. You need to be like, listen, you can do it that way, but I want you to go far in this industry. And if you learn these techniques, you're going to be more efficient in this aspect. And then when you take that here, you'll be more efficient here. And then when you go up in the air, you're already more experienced with a pole to do work on in a chair. You know what I mean? So it's like laying out the foundation of what you're working towards and what you're going towards, is really um helps a lot. And I just feel like a lot of people have that mentality of like, do what I say this way or not, or I don't need you. And it's just like a lot of people, they're not trying to be combative. They don't understand because they may not have the knowledge of why you're saying to do something. It's not that they don't want to do it that way. Like for me, I honestly thought, in my head, I'm getting more work done at a faster pace, so he'll appreciate this. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
making myself harder, but what he was wanting to do was make me better and more efficient. He knew I wasn't going to, you know what I mean? So it's
Preserve your body.
yeah, so sometimes you have to take that into account and really kind of look at things from a different perspective, you know?
Well, we're gonna have to wrap up here shortly, but we've been
That's good.
talking a little bit about pole work real quick. So I want to ask you a couple questions too. Charles, Chuck D. Smith, Fletcher, I'd love for you to check out my TikTok page, A Clearer Vision Window Cleaning. If you get a chance sometime later today, give him a shout. It'll be up in the comments on this page too, but check his page out. We've been talking about pole work. Who are some of your favorites to watch whip that pole around?
Oh, bro. If you want to talk about pole work, there's only one goat. We all know who the goat is. T Squeege.
T Squeege is right there.
T
I
Squeege,
love me some
baby.
T Squeege on his film.
His zero work, man. Ooh, ooh.
So I like him. I enjoy watching Jordan whip that thing around as well. There's not very, I can't really.
Zane's pretty good.
Oh, so
Zane,
Zane,
so actually, hold
Zane's
on.
fantastic.
I
love
watched
Zane.
Zane in person and it was beautiful.
Was it?
I was trying to get him to show me some techniques and instead I was fanboying and not watching how he was doing it, but just I was wetting and watching, wetting and watching, wetting and watching.
Oh
It was
man, that's what
awesome.
cracked me up. And we went to when I got that little squeegee, we went to where Mowerman had that window set up.
Yeah.
And of course you got all these cocky guys that just do ground and that was about to come off really rude. I
No,
said just
I
do
got you.
groundwork.
I
I was
already
about to
heard
say
this.
just do groundwork.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
got all
Yeah.
these guys and we're sitting there and this one guy, he's like, I bet I'm faster than you. And he's like 20, 21 years old. He's like, yeah, I mean, how fast can you do this window? And I was just like, I don't give a shit how fast I can do that one window, man. What I do, I repel from 40 and 50-story buildings. Like,
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't care how fast someone can clean one certain window, because at the end of the day, that's always been, I think, like almost like a mind game that bosses play with their high-rise guys that are on like contract work and stuff, or even hourly. You know what I mean? Being like, you know, oh, he's really good. He'll get like 3 or 4 drops in a day. Yeah, you ain't there yet. And you got that competition where these guys are trying to go as fast as they can and smoke the guy next to them, but they're doing shit work. On top of that, they ain't making no more money going that fast. Like, you're not making any more money, And for me, is I'd rather you go at a chill, comfortable pace that you can keep all day long, and that work looks beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that rushed, sloppy stuff, but too many people have it in their head like being fast is what matters. And it's like, no, being fast is not what matters. Doing good quality work is what matters because then you can get paid more for that work and you're not working yourself to death. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I
it,
think so many of us have gotten into a either you came from a really shitty company where you get shitty pay, so you're just trying to get through the day as quick as possible, or you've watched too many videos or you've read too many comments in pro window cleaning or window cleaning nation about how much per hour you can get. And if you're focused on your per hour as opposed to the quality of your work, you're you're already in the wrong mindset.
you are. I mean, the thing is, dude, if
I
you
made
just want to find
150 bucks an
quality.
hour, but my work looks like shit. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
They're never going to call you back again.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's like let's take this for example. You know, there's one job, for example, these one people bid it for $1,200, right? It was just this entryway to this one job. You got to get up on this ledge and clean these other windows, right? They bid it for 1,200 to go up there. I bid it for 4,500. Want to know why? Because these people are really hardcore about safety and safety regulations. You got to get an articulating boom lift out there. You need to articulate that over. You need to get off of the articulating boom lift safety to it to do that stuff. Laying all that out in the bid. Guess who got that bid? Me.
Yeah.
But for almost four times the price. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
Right.
they don't want to see their building on the news about how
no,
some dude fell off.
no, not at all. It's something as simple as that, man. And it's like, that's the problem. That's one thing I had to learn too, is a lot of these property managers people are dealing with. Like for me, what's been my biggest selling point is leading with safety. And I can do it from example because I can talk about, and I don't ever badmouth my whole company or where I came
Yeah.
from. That ain't the way to do it. I will go and be like, you know, when I was working, there are so many years that I'd be rappelling on these buildings where, you know, I wouldn't know if something goes sideways here. I don't know self-rescue, or if my buddy next to me has a problem and he's hanging on his safety line, he's just dangling there. I don't know how to get him to the ground. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I didn't know that knowledge. And these are the kind of knowledge where I will lead with in meetings now. Like all of our guys are certified in rescue, all of our guys are certified in mainline failures. If something was to happen, you know, and I'll play scenarios with them. I'll be like, say they're rappelling on this gear right here, their descender, their gear, everything, and their safety, and they have a mainline failure. Miss Michael says it best. Where is that gear and that whole setup going? To the ground. It's a bomb. You just lost that rope. It's coming right off you. You're connected to your safety. You're just sitting in the chair. The way we rappel, the way Michael taught me, we use the frog thing, where your whole harness, bucket, everything is hooked to you. Not only does that prevent you from dropping a bomb, it also makes self-rescue easier to perform and get yourself to the ground safely. You know, so it's like when you can lead with safety, and for me to be able to talk about my history, where I came from, be like, I can point and be like, I've done that building, that building, that building, that building, that building with none of this knowledge. You know, I've been on that one and watched someone drop a bucket 40 stories, you know, and there was a crowd of people over here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've watched a squeegee fall and there was a group of people over here. It's like, I won't ever throw anyone under the bus or throw another company under the bus. I talk about my past and the things that we do different now from learning
Yeah.
that, you know, and that's what matters, man. And companies want to hear that. They do.
Agreed. Well, I've said a couple times that we're going to try and wrap up, but I really do think this is about that time for
Good.
when we do wrap it up. Deeds, I did ask you a little bit. What do you got going on today, buddy? You said you got
Oh,
a,
Christmas light install, and I'm going to put lights on my house today. I'm taking a
That's a
kind of a
cool
day
setup
off.
you got back there.
Oh, thanks. Nice little collection,
Yeah,
hodgepodge of tools
I
here.
like it.
Little of
Deeds,
everything.
Deeds'
Yeah.
garage is awesome. A lot of times he and I will just chit chat and shoot the shit and shoot the breeze before we come on air. And I like looking at his back wall too. It looks like a perfect setup.
I'm
Yeah,
wanting to travel some here recently, man. I want to hit a few states. I really want to hit a few states and meet a couple other high-rise crews.
Hold on a second.
Same with
That was
you.
one of the questions I was going to ask you real quick. Have you ever thought about taking field trips and doing work in other states? Do you have to be registered? Do you have to be certified?
Well,
How does that work?
our company actually operates the whole U.S., and that's
Okay.
honestly why we are at the forefront of safety. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because we operate on standards that really aren't even enforced in the US. You know what I mean? Like other
Yeah.
countries that are way ahead of us, we try to operate on those same standards because at the end of the day, they are coming. But right now, yeah, I'm in talks to do some jobs in Atlanta right now that I may be going out to do. Um, and stuff like that. But yeah, we're all over right now. We're only growing. We actually just acquired a couple of companies in California, which are some pretty large ones. So
So I have a friend out here that's a property manager for a large apartment condo complex in downtown Phoenix that has asked me, when are you going to learn how to
do high rise.
yeah, and I'm like, and then actually this week she asked me to come out to her mom's house on Saturday. It's supposed to rain, but I told her I was like, so I have a high rise guy coming on my podcast this week, and then I have like the trainer, the guy
Yeah.
of training for safety and rope descent. So there's a possibility of me learning how to do training, but that doesn't mean that I would be
You
necessarily,
personally do it. Yeah.
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 I might be able to go out and do a drop, but I could point you in the right direction to have somebody get you a bid. So
Yeah, man, that's one thing, I've realized since actually running this company, man, the amount of work out there, guys,
yeah,
it's insane. You know what I mean? And right now you got people in the industry killing each other with underbidding each other, but in reality there's enough buildings out there for everyone to price them right, you know?
there's enough buildings and enough glass. No, in
Yeah.
Arizona,
Yeah.
for example, for example, they're building a microchip plant 10 miles northeast of me. That means they're building thousands of fucking houses to the west, thousands of houses to the north of me.
Mhm.
Phoenix is
Mhm.
just continuing to grow. We're not stopping, man. It's like that
Oh
can't
yeah.
stop,
Same
won't
same
stop.
in Houston. We've got a Tesla Gigafactory or something going up in Brookshire, which
Oh
is
yeah.
like 13 miles down the road. So it's
Dude,
like,
they're expecting our East Bank to be twice the size of current Nashville right now. That's where they're doing all the
wow,
developing in the new Titan Stadium and all that. They're expecting it to be twice the size. Um,
traffic's gonna be nice.
So you're never gonna get out of Nashville?
Now, I mean, for me, my company, I mean, I'll stay in Nashville. Um, but as I continue to rise up and we continue to grow, I know I'll eventually pick up some other surrounding states around me. But
Considering
I'd
field
like,
trips.
yeah, I'd like to stay in Nashville like as my home base, but I'm sure I'll
Yeah,
be traveling like that's like some of our other area managers, like my area manager. He's over, I think, like six different states, and so it's like me and him, we have a lot of video meetings, but there's some states where he's got to get on the ground and get out there and see what's going on and
yeah,
time there. So eventually that'll be nice because I do love traveling. That's one thing I love with Michael. He's taken me to a lot of cool places. So it's like even though I come and train with him, it's like always a little field trip and fun time for me because I get to teach people rope access and I get to see cool parts of the US. Like that's a win-win, you know?
Heck yeah.
so he's got another one coming up in December, in the early part of December in Illinois. And then I don't know what he's got going in January, but I'm gonna see if I can't get out to one of those.
You should.
And,
You should,
and
man. You'd love it. You would absolutely love it. Even if you don't do high rise, just to have the knowledge. Because the thing is, if you ever decided to grow your branch
yeah,
or your company and start picking up some buildings, as long as you have the knowledge to do it, to bid it, know what it takes, know the safety, you could get some high rise guys to work for you, man. There's tons of them out there in Phoenix. I got a
yeah,
handful of buddies out there that are just
absolutely.
knocking them down.
You got it, man. Well, we are this time finally going to go ahead and wrap up. I didn't really do
Good.
anything on a segment of what's in my bucket today because you know
I
what?
did it for you. I did it
Nothing's in
for
my
you.
bucket. Billy's out taking care of some nonsense.
I
He's
got dirty
taking care.
rags in mine.
You got dirty rags in your bucket.
I will say though, every
I got
high
laundry to
rise
do too.
guy should be using one of these and not using those damn strip washers.
Got it.
If you actually want to clean windows good, start using brushes. You can see I actually tethered mine with a hook.
Awesome.
Smart.
Stop using
So,
bonnets on high
so the
rise buildings.
last thing that we do too on the show, Fletcher, we like to let our guests, and Mark and I always like to give a shout out to people that we want to say thank you to, appreciate, whatever. Anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to.
Honestly, first and foremost, Michael Draper.
Yep.
First and foremost, not just for everything he did for me, but what he's trying to do in our industry to keep people alive to go home to their families every day. You can't have any more respect for a man like that. Second of all, I got a lot of respect for the guys at WCR.
Yep.
Not only are they a good company, good shipping, good products, good customer service, they genuinely care about the people in our industry. The amount of times
What I
I've
was
seen,
saying
Yeah.
earlier.
yeah, the amount of times I've seen these random posts on like window cleaning or groups where someone's in tough times or had something going on, and you see like WCR is sending them gifts or donating or doing something. Like they don't just care to sell to us. Like they are integrated and involved in the community, and that
Yep.
you can't touch that.
They want others to succeed
Mhm.
and to get home safe, kind of like what you said about you and Michael, and they want everybody to prosper. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like
yeah,
they're investing back in. So yes, they provide the products and whatnot, but they're investing back into our window
yeah.
cleaning community.
Well,
So it's
there's competition, but those guys, they really see competition, but they really see collaboration. You know
yeah,
what
they
I
raised
mean?
the
Ties
bar.
in that way, and that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Deeds, who you got?
Oh, shout out to Marissa, your wife, for putting up with you for all these years. Happy anniversary. Uh,
Yeah, she just
thanks
walked
for,
in. I just gave her
yeah,
a thumbs up.
cool. And thanks for taking care of the kiddos in the morning so we can do this show.
She just gave you the
Wives,
salute, Deeds.
oh,
She gave you
wives,
this one.
the wives are the bones that hold us together, basically. So thanks to our wives. Thanks, Fletcher.
Absolutely, man.
Hey, we're breaking up a little bit. I can't hear you, Deeds. I think you froze, but I also want to give a shout out to Fletcher for coming on the
To
show.
hear
Fletcher, you're kind of frozen too,
some
but
insight about high rises.
Yeah, we're all freezing.
yeah,
No worries, man. I appreciate y'all having me.
I was gonna give a shout out to all the single dads out there too who do it all and rock it out with their you know what's out. Fletcher, you're
Yep,
one of them. Thanks for holding down the fort for your family and providing and doing all the great stuff. I know it's not always easy, but you make things happen for your little one, and it's what it's
it's
all about,
important.
man. It's
It
Yep.
is,
exactly why
man.
we do this stuff.
It
Um,
is.
I want to thank all, and Deez, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you
No,
were
no,
frozen, so I was just trying to
it's
jump
fine.
in so we didn't have
You're
dead
good.
air. I want to thank all the people who joined in this morning. Damian, Magdos, Tyler Smith, Chuck D,
Adam Hogan.
Adam Hogan, Tanner, Jake Van O. He had some great comments too, in regards to our conversation that I didn't get a chance to read off. Fletcher,
Mhm.
if you have a chance later, go ahead and scroll back through the comments section and
Yeah,
see if there's anything fun in there. You got a lot of people that send in love your way and appreciate what you do for this industry. So,
I
uh,
love to
shout
hear it,
out,
man. And I love all
shout
you
out
guys,
to
dude.
you, bro.
Yeah, only thing I gotta say, guys, is stay safe out there. And if you're a high-rise guy working for a company that is not putting your safety first, or your training first, start looking for another company.
I
Yep.
love you,
Be
Fletch.
smart. Be safe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good day, guys.
Hey,
Yeah.
real quick too. Deeds, thank you. Kylie, thank you. You guys are the best. We'll catch up later. Fletch, if you have time, you know who's on Friday. Join us in and pop in and say what up.
Is he on Friday or
He-
tomorrow? It's
He's
Friday.
on Friday morning.
I'll
Friday.
be
Yep.
I'll be there. I'm definitely gonna sit there and hit up the chat. I love old Mikey.
That sounds great. We
Awesome.
look forward to having you again. Take care, everybody. Stay safe and
Change your rubbers.
change your rubbers. I was just gonna say, what do you tell them, Deeds? And I hope your passion bucket's full. Peace
All right,
out.
y'all have
All
a
right.
good one.